Good morning. My name is Dennis Burrell from Ventive Wireless Infrastructure, and I also have on stage with me Mike Parry from Ventive, and also Sam Clements, and we're going to be talking about site survey battery options. So how many of you guys remember this site survey battery? Did I hear a boo?
Gets a lot of boos now.
Tough crowd.
No kidding.
Okay. Mike, you want to talk about this a little?
Sure. So before I start talking about our old site survey battery pack and our new one, I want to say that discussion about battery packs is really just a vehicle for talking about collaborative new product development between this community and an OEM. So leave that as it is. So you guys, many of you obviously remember the old, what we call the boat anchor. It was an 802.3 AF product, provided 802.3 AF power. It was actually designed, built, and began selling in the year 2000. So 18 years ago, this was state of the art. But it became apparent in talking to many of you in the audience here over time when I would get phone calls and you would scream into my ear, Parry, we need an 802.3 AT solution. We heard you. We also heard that it ought to be lighter so it could carry on. And ideally, we wanted to make it here in the United States. So we transitioned to a new product, which is the VenVolt, which incidentally powered Figus. It does deliver 802.3 AT power. It's lighter weight. And made in America, which is something we really strive for.
And for those that missed it, it's orange.
Yeah.
Orange.
Yeah.
Juice.
So what would you say the transition from one battery to what we have today, what would you say that was like?
Well, it's probably better to just tell it in the form of a video.
Okay.
Yeah. And naturally, it won't work now.
Naturally.
Yeah, it worked fine this morning.
So much
Well,
for the
let's just say that developing VenVolt, like just about any new product development, had its hits and misses, its swings and misses. Took us a couple of iterations of the design before we got to something that we could actually deliver to the community.
Yeah, so this design is one of the original designs that Mike sent over to us for sort of consideration, I think, at the time. And I think this was one of the, hey, all you did was took the old metal box and you put a hinge on it, and then you threw a couple extra things in it. And I think that this is probably a good representation of probably one of those swings and a miss, I think was.
This was a miss.
Yeah, for sure. Probably functional, but really didn't address things like weight and a variety of other things for us. And then there was this one, which I think turned out to be a bit of an evolution. I think we looked at a lighter weight case, right, with a couple modular options in it. But this one do you have the actual picture of the design itself?
There.
Yeah. So this one was practically speaking nothing more than a Pelican case with a battery and a thing in it, and it was less than ideal. So when we talked about sort of migrating and updating and refreshing the battery pack, I think these two options were not quite there. I think they missed the mark probably rather considerably. Yeah.
But it did deliver 802.3 AT power.
It did, yes.
So it had that going for it. After a couple of swings and misses, Sam and I and Sam and a couple of other people here in the audience got down and really started defining requirements. Not that we didn't think about requirements in the previous versions that were classified as misses, but we really got serious about it. We wrote them down, we got everybody to agree to them, and then we launched into another design development and ultimately delivery process. Those of you that are product managers, engineers, you know very well that design and development doesn't go linearly, it's kind of iterative. You get a design out there, you evaluate it, you get a design, go into develop, make a prototype, evaluate it, and then often loop back to design. So we'll talk to you about a couple of designs that were based on the requirements for VinVolt. Sam, you want to take this?
Yeah, so this was, I think this was getting us a whole lot closer. In fact, if you guys have seen the VinVolt as it is today, you can start to see some resemblance between what was here and what we've got today. I think we started working specifically with the manufacturer, who is really far more around battery technology expertise than IT equipment. And so the initial draft was heat sinks out the back, but you can see that there's a couple of carryovers that still exist in some form today. I think that there's if you see on the front panel there's 2 RJ45 ports and a rocker switch and a handful of other things on there. But I think at this point when we saw this, I think we all collectively sort of knew that we were really getting much further on down the road than we were when I think it was at Tesco 1 in Nashville. I think that we first sort of sat down and said, we need to put this thing together and get it going.
Yeah. This then was the second design. So we did a design with the first, or our first design looked like what we just showed. And then we went into the second design. This is where we started feeling like we're really locking in on the design. Had the front cap, it has the back cap, had the voltage / power gauge, it had the power switch, it had the RJ45 port, the USB port. We felt like this was very close to a final design. Now we did encounter some hiccups with, without going too deeply in the weeds, in the wiring inside the front cap, which ultimately led us to our third and final design.
Yeah, I think this is the design that they showed at Cisco Live.
Right, so this is the one that we showed at Cisco Live, and we'd like to say thank you to everyone that came by the booth and provided their feedback as far as what they would like to see in addition to what we had on this second design. So we tried to incorporate some of that into the third design.
Which is what we have today.
And that's it, that's our final design. Again, this is really a story about community collaboration. Many of you here in the audience gave us feedback on the designs, helped us understand the requirements that the community needed. There was an iterative process of ultimately leading up to this final design, which is the VinVolt. So
and I think
thanks, everybody.
After we had the first design there, I think we moved into some of the testing for the product itself, right? So we went through some rather rigorous testing as far as longevity and durability and all that fun stuff. I think this is, a montage of the images that we were using for of the logging we were using for how long the battery is running, and we went through multiple iterations of what types of APs are we powering, how are we powering them, what sort of clients are associated to them, what are the APs doing as they're being powered, all the way down to what's the longest thing we can get this, what's the longest we can get this thing to run. So I think, and in fact, shout out to Adrian if he's still in the room. We actually worked with Adrian to add 2 columns into Wi-Fi Explorer Pro specifically for this process. In Wi-Fi Explorer Pro, there's now a first seen and a last seen column, and battery longevity testing really worked out to be charge the battery up to max, just fire up Wi-Fi Explorer Pro, turn it on, and walk away. And Wi-Fi Explorer Pro will tell you the first time it saw the AP and the last time it saw the AP, and you just subtract the 2 numbers from each other. So shout out to Adrian wherever he's at for that. Made this process a whole lot easier. We tested up all the way up to AP 3800s, which are not known for being light on the power requirements. So 3802s with 2 radios cranked all the way to the max with associated clients passing traffic, and we were getting well in excess of 6.5 hours. And so really everything from there was a step down, all the way down to one of the lightweightest APs we could find, 702i with 1 radio turned way down, which ran us out to about 21 hours. So it really is up to your specific configuration as far as how long this thing's really going to last. And I think after, obviously, we nailed down some quite a bit of comfort around battery technology and longevity and all that fun stuff. Of course, I think we did durability.
Yes, we did.
So is it actually playing? So these are some videos of durability testing, and keep in mind that these are from 2 meters off of the ground onto solid concrete. And so this is multiple drops after 2 meters, so it's head height. Going all the way down onto concrete. Obviously, the product is 3D printed technology on the caps from a manufacturing perspective, and I think one of the first comments we get is, well, really, how durable is this thing?
Durable.
Yeah, quite durable. we really had to beat on these chassis in order to get them to break out. And honestly, I think anything injection molding that we could have used probably would have fractured, probably on the first drop.
Mike, you want to talk about what we're looking at in the future as far as next generation?
Sure. So several of you in the audience have come up and said, hey, I've got some ideas for some ancillary products. I encourage you to build them. Go for them. If you guys want to be the channel to market for those ancillary products, whether they be straps or handles or whatever, go for it. You've got our full encouragement. Let's build an ecosystem around this product. We're already taking input for our V2, our version 2 model. Many of you have had Ven bolts in your hand. You've taken them out in the field. And, you know, like any product, it can use some improvements. So we're making a list of suggested improvements, and at some point we'll do a trade analysis and incorporate those. And finally, at the 0-0 mark,
We've been at that for a little bit.
Keith is going to do a giveaway.
And also thank you, Robert Boardman. For those of you that don't know, Robert Boardman and Ryan Adzema worked on minifigus.
Thanks, guys.
Get them going.